On Government Order of the Day number 2.
Freedom Camping Bill, first reading.
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Freedom Camping Bill be now read a first time. At the appropriate time, I intend to move that the bill be considered by the Local Government and Environment Committee with an instruction that the committee report finally to the House on or before 1st of August 2011 and that the committee have authority to meet at any time while the House is sitting, except during oral questions, and during any evening on a day on which there has been a sitting of the House, on a Friday in a week in which there has been a sitting of the House, and to meet outside the Wellington region during a sitting of the House despite Standing Orders 187, 189 and 190, subclauses 1B and C. Mr Speaker, the purpose of this bill is to address the negative effects of freedom camping. Many visitors stopping along our roadsides at rest areas and lookouts face more than a spectacular view. Too often they also face a pile of human waste and toilet paper. This is often a gift from a visitor who hired a cheap camper van with no toilet and then used the rest area or lookout to camp overnight to avoid paying campground fees. We are an outdoors destination. We want tourists to continue coming here to explore and enjoy our countryside. New Zealanders do just this on their own holidays, and we want to protect our reputation. Inappropriate camping and toileting does this country a disservice, and we do not want this behaviour to be lodged in anyone's memories when they get home. Freedom camping is an important part of our tourism industry and great Kiwi lifestyle, but we cannot tolerate irresponsible campers spoiling our most iconic areas with human waste and litter. This is particularly important as we gear up for the Rugby World Cup. Roughly 85,000 visitors are expected to arrive on our shores, and for many of those this is the holiday of a lifetime. So we are acting rapidly to ensure that this legislation is in place by then. The number of freedom campers has doubled over the past decade to 110,000 international visitors and more than 40,000 New Zealanders. The existing system, where each of our 67 districts has its own bylaws, is not working for the responsible freedom camper wanting to do the right thing or for councils wanting to protect their local environment. Mr Speaker, this bill will enable councils to determine where camping is allowed, where it is restricted to camper vans with self-containment and where it is prohibited. The Department of Conservation will be able to make similar rules on the reserves it manages. There will be a nationally consistent signage and practical enforcement provisions. A website will be provided outlining where people can and cannot camp nationally. Camping at specific sensitive sites and depositing human waste on roadsides is already illegal, but councils and DOC have very limited options for dealing with these offenders. This bill will increase the tools available to them by creating an infringement regime. This will avoid the need for councils and DOC to take expensive court action and therefore provide a more effective deterrent to inappropriate behaviour. What this bill is to provide the same approach as is used for other relatively minor offences, such as parking and traffic offences. A person can be ticketed where they camp in an area in which camping is prohibited, camp in an area where camping is restricted and breach those restrictions, for example by using a camper van with no toilet in an area restricted to self-contained camper vans, or deposit waste whilst camping. The bill sets the infringement fee at $200, and I believe, Mr Speaker, this will provide a strong deterrent for potential offenders. Enforcement officers will still have the option of taking a matter to the courts if they consider that the offence warrants that action. For example, a camper van emptying its sewage tank in a rest area. In that case, a far higher penalty to a maximum of $10,000 might be imposed. The ability to impose high fines already exists for breaches of council bylaws, including camping bylaws. This bill, Mr Speaker, provides a uniform regime across council land and public conservation land. It will enable local government to effectively enforce their existing and future bylaws relating to camping. I must emphasise, Mr Speaker, that this bill does not change where anyone can camp. The presumption is still that freedom camping is not only allowed but encouraged as a core part of the backcountry experience, and the infringement system will only apply in vehicle-accessible areas and near formed roads, near the coast and near Great Walks. Councils and DOC already restrict camping in specific sites where it would be a problem, for example in city car parks, where camping could damage natural values, or where there is a more suitable camping site nearby. Mr Speaker, this bill is designed to allow such decisions to be effectively enforced. In the case of public conservation land, it will also provide a clear and transparent method for making such decisions in future, taking into account the purposes for which land is held and any management plans. In summary, Mr Speaker, this bill will provide my department and councils with another tool to protect our open spaces, our tourism industry and the interests of backcountry users, and will reinforce the backcountry code. Mr Speaker, I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Ruth Dyson.